All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again for another meeting with the Akin Developer bi-monthly meetings. We're so happy you guys joined us again, a lot of familiar faces. Today, we are honored to have Bill Kenny. He is a Keller Williams agent. I actually met him through another agent that I did a transaction with that we kept in touch with. Very nice guy. And he was like, you need to come to our office. You know, Bill is going to do a presentation about, he's an investor and he has multi-units. So I went to the meeting. It was really nice. I spoke to him and I asked him if I could meet with him again. And he was available. So Mickey and I went to Hagerstown to meet him. So for those of you who don't know where Hagerstown is, if you know Rockville, then you go up, it's Gaithersburg, then you keep going, then it's Frederick, and then you pass Frederick, it's Hagerstown. So he's way up there in that market. But that's a very active market. So for those of you that don't know the Hagerstown market, it's pretty much just like the Baltimore market, which it's a very active market for rentals and flips, low budget. It's not like, you know, the ones in PG and Montgomery County, Virginia, that like, you know, you start the purchase price around the 300, 400, 500, and your resale is much higher. Hagerstown is a lower market. They're more like, you know, the 50s, 100s, and Bill will explain a little bit more that market. So we are so glad that he's here with us, and I'm going to let him take over. So Bill, please, if you can introduce yourself and take over. And so, you know, it's a very informal meeting. So you can either do your whole presentation or you can stop and let people kind of ask questions. So it's never a huge group, and then everybody here has been fantastic. So usually when they have questions, they'll just unmute themselves and we kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of how we do our meetup group. Just if you have a question, just ask it and I'll answer it right there and then. So we'll just go through it and go that way. So I'll be able to introduce myself when I start my presentation here because that's in there. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
The average price point's probably like $425 or something like that. So Hagerstown is about half that. It's about $200 to $225 is the average sales price for Hagerstown. And it's a blue collar town. So you have a lot of blue collar jobs, a lot of transportation jobs. It's at the corner of I-81 and I-70. And the price point makes a lot of sense for investors because you can buy properties and rehab them and rent them out and still cash flow them, where you almost can't do that in Frederick for the kind of returns we're looking to get. But it's even more difficult the further you go down to 70. Now, Baltimore, like you were saying, the inner city of Baltimore is very similar to the price points of Hagerstown.
So when it comes to multi-unit though in Hagerstown, how does that, how is that over there?
So there's a lot of multifamily in the city. And the biggest problem with that is that the city has a lot of restrictions and inspections. And so they make it a little bit tougher to operate in the city. Now, if you can find something on the outskirts, there are, outside of the city's control, then that's a great property. That because of the extra taxes and the extra regulation the city puts on, it tends to keep those prices down, and the lower price stuff usually attracts lower tenants. So you've got to deal with, I would say, like a C-class tenant, to a D-class tenant in some of those places that are in the downtown area, which means that they're going to cash flow a lot better. The further you get outside of the city, those tenants get a little bit better because the properties get a little bit better. So it's all location specific, just like any zip code or any city that you're in. You want to know where the good properties are and where to buy and all the other things that go along with that. But you can get, are you guys familiar with the term 1% properties and 2% properties?
If you can, please explain.
Okay. So,
and I'm sorry to interrupt. What format? I got the file, but what's that format? .key.
Yeah, that's for an Apple. Is not gonna work for you?
No, I'm Microsoft. Sorry.
All right, let me fix that while I'm telling you here. So a 1% property would be that you are all in, say the rent's $1,000. You want to be all in at $100,000 on a 1% property. So that means maybe you purchase the property set for 75,000, you put $25,000 into it, and then your rent is going to be 1% of your all-in cost, which would be $1,000. A 2% property would be that you're all in for the property at $50,000 and then it rents for 1,000. So that would be 2% of the all-in price. And so right now, I would say about 5 years ago, you could find 2% properties in Washington County and Berkeley County. But the market has trended up highly as you've seen everywhere. And now things are selling in Hagerstown for like a 1.2 to 1%. So that's what buyers can expect to buy there. Now, I would challenge you to find anything in your location that would be considered a 1% property. It probably doesn't exist. I mean, you could probably just say, okay, what am I buying this property for? You know, you were saying you were buying a property for 300.
Yeah. So they're like the single families in the PG County area are about 300,000. Yeah.
And how much rehab were you going to put into that?
Well, they're between 80 and 100. The
So
renovation.
you have about 380 into it. And once you
The
get,
ARV is about 580 to 599.
okay. And then what's the total rents on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, no, scratch
You know what
that.
I mean? I'm trying to say if you buy it and then you rehab it, you're all in cost, and then you're looking at what the gross monthly rents are.
Oh, I
Okay,
see. No,
you're
I
seeing.
was giving you the flip. My bad.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
So
for
if
rentals.
we're talking about let's try this one. 46,000. The renovation is 25. So at 71, and my rent is going to be about 1,100.
Okay, so that's a great deal. That would be Baltimore City, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
Baltimore
Yeah.
City.
So that's the kind of numbers that you can get in Baltimore City. That cash flows all day long. But if you were to buy that same property and say someone brought up Fairfax earlier, that property doesn't exist in Fairfax,
No.
right? No. So that's why people come up 270 to Frederick and Washington County. And that's why they go to Baltimore, because they're looking for those cash flows.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
So no, we've had to scour Baltimore definitely. So but it's a street by street too, and block by block. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to know where you're going.
Yeah, you definitely want to know where you're going, because there's probably some parts that you just don't want to have to operate in. Okay, I'm going to send this to you PowerPoint, but I got to load it up here. I'm sorry for all this.
It's okay. I'm trying to see on my end too if there's anything I can do. Cloud convert. I might be able to.
While it's coming to you, I can just look at it here and tell you a little bit of get started here, and then we can kind of do it that way if you want me to.
I'm trying something. 1 second. Actually, hang on a second. Ibrahim, you have your Mac?
Yes.
Do you think you could swipe? You could. I could forward you the file, and you can click the next.
Yeah, send it to me. I can check it.
Okay, hang on. Ibrahim is he's my brother. He's my older brother.
Okay, you may have this file here in just a second. It's just taking a minute here to load. I converted it to PowerPoint.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, let's see if you get this here in about 10 seconds. Then we can get this thing going. Okay, there you go.
Okay. I got it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so give me just 1 minute. gonna download it because it wants to do something online and I don't want to do whatever it is that it wants to do online. Okay, it's loading.
I could even send you the PowerPoint too. We could do it that way, which would be a smaller file.
Okay, so let's try this. It does not want to open the PowerPoint, but hang on a second. I have another way I can do this. It just won't be the full screen, but let me share this. Okay, so you can see, can everybody see what I'm, and let me try. Is it zooming? Is that zoomed in?
Good to
A little
me.
bit better? Is that a little bit better?
It is.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. And go ahead.
Okay, so that's me and my family. So I was with FedEx for 15 years, and then I worked for a defense contractor, and I got sick of managing people and working nonstop around the clock, and so I wanted to find something that was better. And so I started searching. I started reading a lot of stuff, talking to a lot of people, and I came across a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure many people on here have read that, but that kind of changed the way I thought after I read that. I ran out, and that was in 2011. I ran out and I bought an investment property immediately. So that's when I became an investor in 2011. And then after that, I started searching for my next property and I couldn't find it. And so I was like spinning my wheels trying to find another property. And I thought, all right, let me join some, take some training. And I paid like $500 for this investor training. And the first thing it said was join your local RIA group. And so I joined my local RIA group. I was very nervous to do that. I just called the guy signed here. Him and I became business partners from that meeting. And that's when we learned called wholesaling. So we started wholesaling together. I did that. I got my license. That the other government contract ended. Real estate license, and I went into becoming we had wholesaled a number of properties prior to that, so I kind of got a head start because I was already working with sellers and had leads. So that's how I got started. That's my wife and my 3 kids there. My two of my
So your connection is still coming in and out a little bit, Bill.
high school. So they're well. Were you able to hear any of that?
It's kind of chopped up a little bit. So this is your wife and your kids, and then we didn't hear the few words after.
Hey, Bill, sometimes it works if you just cut off your video. It happens to me all the time when I'm at work and people are cutting in and out. Cutting out your video and just speaking, probably sometimes fixes it. Maybe you want to try that. Yeah, I think we lost him there.
Hey, Bill, did you hear what he said? Do you want to turn off your video and just do just the audio?
I'm sorry.
Aha. Okay.
I think he has to sign in again, right?
Yeah, if he's yep. Hang on a second.
There he is.
Hello?
Hey, Bill.
Hey.
Yes. Yes, don't do the
And-
video, just speak. Let's try that and see if that works.
Yeah, I think this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll keep going. You just let me know. I think we're going to have a tough time of this with this internet connection here.
Yeah, so just do no videos and we should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've
you were
got the video.
introducing your family, you know, and that it's kind of jumbled a little bit.
Okay, just go ahead and move on. We'll try to
Okay.
get to the meat of this.
Okay.
All right, so this is our company here. Like I said, I bought my first rental in 2011. I met my partner on Bigger Pockets and ARIA in 2013. We started wholesaling in 2013 through 2015. In 15, I got my license and started becoming a realtor full time. We wholesaled together loosely, and I was doing realtor work. And in 2019, and we were also buying rentals, not together, individually from our marketing. And in 2019, we put our company together. We called it MDWV Homebuyer. And we put a team together and we started flipping. We started wholesaling. We started buying rentals in an LLC. So tonight, what I'm going to talk about is a bunch of the different deals that we've done, all of the kind of deals that we do in our company. So you can go ahead and scroll up there. So there's a couple case studies. So we do multifamily rentals. We buy and rehab those. We do single family rentals. We do flips, mostly single family flips. We do wholesales. We do owner finance deals. We do what we call wholetails. Does anybody know what that is?
Please re-explain.
Okay, we'll get to it on the slide. And that's the deals I'm going to talk about here. And then if anybody has any questions, go ahead and raise your hand or just blurt it out. So this was one of the first multifamilies that we bought. This one's in Martinsburg, West Virginia. And this was actually listed on the MLS. This had a lot of deferred maintenance. It was an accidental landlord. So someone had built it, or not built it, but turned a house into an 8-unit building. And then they died and they turned it over to their family. And then it was mismanaged for many years. So it was an inherited property. It had a lot of, like I said, deferred maintenance. The rents were low and the expenses were high. And so when we looked at the numbers, we had a plan on what to do with this to increase those numbers. So go ahead and slide up and I'll show you what we did to this property. So we bought this property for $267,000. I'll show you the rents here in a minute. But when
Look at the change, like the paint and everything. That's nice right there.
We put about $65,000 into this property. And some of the biggest things we did were we separated out all the electric and we separated out all the heat. And so it had a radiator system in there. And if you go back up, you can see the picture there. Those are the top picture on the right. Those are individual boilers for each unit. The day before we bought the property, the old oil tank or the old oil furnace died. And so we were able to get a $10,000 reduction on the sale of the property, which was actually good for us because we had planned on taking that thing out of there anyway and putting these in. So the idea here was to increase the rents by making the apartments nicer, and by providing more efficient heat and electric and turning those utilities over to the tenant. And that's what we did. We separated out the electric and the heat so that each tenant had their own bill. And then we made the units nicer, increasing the rent, and got better tenants in there. So when we bought it, the day we bought it, it was only bringing in $4,100, and the owner was paying the heat, the owner was paying electric, and the owner was paying water. So we pulled out, we separated the heat out to everybody, electric to everybody. We increased the rents. And so you can see we increased the rents 31% and we reduced our utility expense 83%. So that became a really nice 8-unit building in our portfolio. So that's the kind of things we're looking to do. Mostly what we have are 2 units and 3 units, but that's an 8-unit. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did your reno, how long did it time like to do all the meters and all, to
So
separate all?
it took us about 4 months to do everything. And we already had tenants in place when we were doing that. So that was good. What happened was we had to get heat in there immediately when we bought the property. So we had to put a system in there, like a short-term system on propane gas, while they actually put those other units in there. So we had like a phase where we were just stabilizing it, and then we were doing the rehabs. And we're still actually rehabbing each unit as tenants move out. So as they move out. So, but wait, there's more, it says. We rehabbed one of these units, and the day the girl moved in, they left one of the boxes on the stove and it burned it down. And luckily they got it in time that nobody was hurt and it didn't get into any of the other units, but it totally burned out that unit. And
Wow.
the lesson here was we actually got the insurance money and put new windows in and actually made that apartment nicer than it was. So nobody was hurt. And we actually were able to make the property or the unit nicer. But the lesson here is that when you have multifamily tenants or you have any kind of tenants, you want to have them sign the renter's insurance immediately, because we make them get renter's insurance. But in this case, she hadn't signed up for it yet. And so she is actually still kind of on the bill for this one, because it was her fault and she didn't have renter's insurance. So our insurance company is going after her. So you can use this story to tell your tenants, you're going to be in a world of hurting if something happens and you don't have renter's insurance. It's a $10 policy per month. And you can usually reduce one of your other policies with it because you get multiple policies, like your car insurance and your renter's insurance. And this is what it protects you against, and many other things, if your property's stolen or damaged or ruined. So that was a good lesson we learned. It didn't hurt us in the end, but it really did hurt her. So this was a property that we do a lot of direct mail. So our main lead source is direct mail. We consistently send direct mail every month to several different counties. Our 2 counties that we work in, like I said, are Washington County, where Hagerstown is, and Berkeley County, where Martinsburg is. This was a property early on that came to us. The seller had this property, and it was a 2-bed property, and the windows were busted out of it, and there was like raccoons living in there. And she wanted to just pay off the mortgage. And so we went down and looked at this thing, and she goes, there's actually there's a place that we built behind it. And so when we looked at this thing at a 2-bed, it didn't really make sense. But when we started walking through it, we were like, we can actually add another bedroom in here and make this a 3-bedroom rental. And then we can rehab this building behind here and turn this into a 1-bedroom rental. So we're able to get $1,100 for the 3-bedroom house and $600 for the we call it the cottage. We call them the twins. So you got a 3-bedroom house, and then we call it the cottage. And we have a fence running down the back line there. So there's actually some separation on the property. So this actually functions almost like a duplex. And we got this property for $40,000. And so it's bringing in about $1,600. And we probably put about $25,000, $30,000 into it. So you can see those numbers make a lot of sense. This is a really good cash flowing property. And some of the notes I have here on the side are, every time we buy a property and we rehab it, we stick our sign in the yard, and we have a "We Buy Houses" sign. And someone actually called us about the property across the street, and we ended up buying the property across the street. And now we own both of these properties, and we're in negotiations with the property to the right of these 2 here. And this is in an area of Martinsburg that we call the path of progress. So they're actually building CVS's and auto zones and all this different stuff. And at some point, they're going to come for this land. And so we're going to let this cash flow until the point in the future where some commercial development wants to come for this, because it's right on the main road.
Do you have a picture of the property across the street that you're referencing?
Yeah, I think it's the next slide up. So this property, when we bought it, it's actually a double wide mobile, but we get I think we get $1,200 a month for this property, and it's a 3-bed, 2-bath house. It doesn't look like much, but it actually had a brand new roof on it. I think we got this one for 40 as well, put like 20 into it, and it rents for like 1,200. So this was the property across the street that they called us about by having our sign in the yard. So that's a single family rental. The one challenge that we had with this one was that when we bought it, it was still considered a mobile. And so we had to go through, learn the process of retired title. And retired title means you retire the title to the mobile or the double wide and get it on real property. And then it can become assessed as real property. Then you can have it appraised and bring a bank loan to it, which we did. And we burned all of our cash out of that one and then some.
So, Bill, when you do the rehab on your properties, do you have like a formula or a rule to go by of how much money you're actually putting into it?
Yeah, so what we want to know is we want to know when we buy the property, just like anything, like an AR, we want to know the ARV of a flip or the rental that we're going to keep, because the after repair value is going to be the same as the appraisal value if you do it right. And if you know what the appraisal is going to be, and you know what your bank that you're working with is going to give you, 75% loan to value, 80% loan to value, you need to know where you need to be all in cash so that you can pull all of your cash back out. So in a simple example, if you know the ARV is $100,000 and you know your bank's giving you 80% loan to value, then you can't spend more than $80,000 on the purchase and the rehab. And so that's how we look at deals that we're going to burr. That way we can use private money or our own money and pull it all back out and do it again and do it again and do it again, right? Because now we have permanent financing on this property, and we already have the equity. The equity is already built into it when we bought it and rehabbed it. We actually forced equity by rehabbing it.
And Bill, quick question. Are you managing your own properties or you hire management?
We do. We have a team, and I'm going to show you the slide a little bit later. We actually have a team of, so we had 2 full-time admins, a part-time admin person, and now we also have 2 lead generation people, 1 acquisitions manager and 1 leads manager. So we're let me see, we have 1, 2, 3, we have 4 people plus Mike and myself. So there's 6 people on our team now. So the one person is a full-time investing admin, so handles all the bills, handles all the property management, and she has an assistant that does the showings and does all that kind of stuff with the property management, puts the properties on the internet, schedules the showings, signs the leases. And then we have 2 acquisitions people, and then Mike and I kind of head up the acquisitions and sales, and Mike, my partner, handles all the rehabs and property management. That's how we split the work.
Very well.
Mm-hmm. So you can slide up here. This is a flip that we picked up. This was actually, we just did a flip. This is a bit of an old presentation that I just fixed up a little bit today. But we just closed a flip last month that was actually a little bit better than this one. So on these 2 flips, the one that we closed in Martinsburg, this was in Sharpsburg, Maryland. We made about $65,000 on these 2 flips. Typically, we're making about 25 to 30 on a flip, but these were some stellar deals here. So when we got this property, because an agent in my office had this as a pocket listing, and she sent me down to look at it. Originally, we gave her a price of 95, and they wouldn't take it, and they listed it at 109, or they listed it at 115, and they actually had another. She actually had another buyer come and look at it, and they were at like 115, and we were at 109. But when when she was ready to sign with the listing agent had the buyer went out and got a buyer's agent, and that made her mad, and she took our offer because we were actually a little bit cleaner on our offer. No inspections, all cash, close quicker. It was a little bit lower. And that other buyer that she procured went out and got a buyer's agent. And she was like, no, I'm not having any of that. So we actually got that from a relationship, and we weren't the highest offer. But we took 8 dumpsters of trash out of this property. And it turned out really nice. It was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house in a super desirable area.
It's a flashback for us. We had like 6 dumpster in our Baltimore property. So I can definitely relate when you said, 8.
We're still selling stuff out of our garages that we pulled out of there. So that was our flip there. So this is an example of a wholesale deal that we did not so long ago. We spoke to a guy who had some health problems, and he was selling off his portfolio because he had done all the property management, and he had done all the work, and he had his leg amputated, and so he couldn't get to these properties anymore. And so when the tenants moved out, he was ready to sell it. And so these were both vacant, and I think we got these we got one for 30 and one for 15, and we sold them. We sold them out for like 60 each. So these were really good wholesales. And he was just tired of them and done with it. And he took our first offer. And so we just really fell into a good deal here. So that's what we do. I'm go ahead and slide up there, and I'll show you how we do these. So we have a couple different things that we do when we get a wholesale. We have our meetup group there. You can see in the top right. And so we have a time where we actually allow people to talk about their deals, if they're looking for money, if they're looking for deals, and then we present our deals. We also have a private Facebook page, and if you guys want to get into it, you can. It's called I-81 Real Estate Investors, and that's the bottom one there. And we're able to sell a lot of deals on that because everybody that's in our meetup group is in our private Facebook group. So it's like an exclusive group of real estate investors only. We don't let any scammy people come in there that are trying to sell stuff or realtors that are trying to push, retail properties. So we try to keep it investor related, and all of our investors in there. So we're able to sell stuff there. And then we also have a web page called MDWV Cash Buyers. So our main web page is MDWV Home Buyer, and our Cash Buyers page is MDWV Cash Buyers. And that's a picture of it on the left. And we put all of our properties up there, so they're very well displayed, and we drive all of our traffic to that page. It has all the information. It has all the pictures, so you guys can go there and look at it, MDWV Cash Buyers. You actually have to sign in to get to it, so that's another way that we capture buyers for our buyers list. But once you sign in, then you have access to our properties. And we have a property on there today that I'm going to show you at the very end. So this is, and then we also, we're tied in very tightly with our community, our investor community, because we've been around for a good while, and I'm also an agent. So we have a lot of people that we can just kind of call and sell properties to. So it's all about building your network, like you guys are doing here with your network down there. But building your network and having these resources to show your properties, give good information, and have legit buyers, rather than try to put it on Craigslist all the time and deal with all the stuff you get from there. So that's how we sell wholesales. Now this is probably our most favorite deal, or my most favorite deal that we've done. This is a double wide. Excuse me. It was on a permanent foundation. So we'd learned our lesson. When I went to look at this, it wasn't real property. It was still a double wide on a permanent foundation. But we already knew the process of retiring the title and getting it to be real property. And so when I went to meet this seller, he had been telling me all along that he wanted $25,000 for it. And follow-up is everything in real estate. So if you're a realtor, you know that. You got to follow up with a client many, many times. And I followed up with this guy probably 6 to 8 times over the course of 3 to 4 months. Finally, he was going through some stuff. You know, his father had died. He was traveling back to Illinois to take care of that. This was the last property he had in Martinsburg, and he was just done with it. He was tired of dealing with it. He had people that weren't paying for 6 months. They had 2 or 3 cars that had no tags on it in the driveway. So when we're buying these things, we're dealing with all these problems. The day we showed up to settlement, we thought we were going to have to evict the tenant. And he was like, oh, no, they left this morning. We were like, oh, thank God. We don't have to deal with that because we've had to deal with that so many times. It's been difficult. But when I got there, I said, so I said to him, and like, so you want to sell this for $25,000? And he thought that I meant like that was too high. He was like, oh no, I'd sell this for $12,000. I was like, okay. Like, and I was thinking, how quick can I get this thing signed up? So that just having that conversation, we just saved so much money on it. And he had paid it off a long time ago, and it was a problem for him. So the other thing about this property is the sewer line was disassembled in the yard. They had a trench dug. So if you look in that first picture, you can see that all that, yeah, right there where your cursor is, all that rock there. If you follow that out all the way to the road, that was a trench that was dug up because the sewer line wasn't there. So this property had problems. We had to reconnect the sewer line to the city line. And you can see it over there on the right. We had to redo the whole yard there. But we bought it for 12. We rehabbed it for 25. It appraised. We had an appraisal done on it. It appraised for 145. We turned around and sold it on an owner finance note at 8.99% interest with $10,000 down. So we got $10,000. We had to pay off our $25,000. We paid for this money, $12,000 cash out of our money. We did borrow $25,000 for the rehab. So we had to pay off our rehab debt, but we did get $10,000 down, and they make payments to us every month. There's a 5-year balloon on this, and I think it's amortized over 20 years or 30 years or something like that. So we're making the interest off this. And if they pay us off, the day they pay us off, they have the right to go out and refinance that. They'll pay off, they'll have a note of 135 that they have to pay to us. So you can see how much equity we have in this property. This is an unbelievable deal. And probably what we're talking about is when they do pay this off, we'll take that money as seed money for our private money lending. We're already doing that now, so we'll have more money available. This is what we call a wholesale deal. And if you've never heard of that term before, basically that means that you buy it and put it back up on the market very quickly. Like you may do a super light rehab, but it's like a wholesale retail deal. That's what wholesale means. And so the problem here was the guy called me, and his tenants had not paid for a year, and they were just raking him over the coals. Like they had him screwed every single way that they could. Like they were, getting lawyers after him, and he had not done nothing wrong. And so we've dealt with that before, and this was a tough case. But we know in being a real estate investor is that you make money when you solve tougher problems. And so this was the difficult problem. So we bought the property. We sent him a 30-day notice to vacate because there was no lease. Nobody could find the lease. And they complied with that, but they left all their stuff in the property. And they told us they'd be leaving on a certain day. Well, we went over and we changed the locks. It looked like any other house, where they left a bunch of stuff like most people do. But they were baiting us for that. They were baiting us. They were saying that we were taking their property and we stole their property. They called the sheriff on us and said that we stole their property. So we had to deal with all that stuff. We didn't do any of that stuff. And then we started the eviction process. And then we said, all right, what if we just give you $1,000 and you leave? Because there was so much money on the table that we wanted to get this deal on the market. They agreed to that. We had an attorney write it up, and they signed it. We gave them $1,000, and we turned around. I think we just painted the property and removed the junk, put it on the market. So we bought it for 30. We listed it for 81, and we had closing costs, a little bit of paint. We had the attorney's fee involved there, but that was a really good deal. But it was difficult to deal with those people. But that's how you make good money in real estate, by solving big problems. So that's what a wholesale is. You can buy a property that's almost ready for the market and turn around and put it up on the market and sell it quickly. So this is a little bit about our systems. So we have a number of systems that we use in our business. Everybody, if they're doing this, if they're sending out leads, they have a CRM. We use a voice service called CallRail. We use a CRM called Podio. Those are the systems we use, among others, but those are our lead generation systems. But we also we've read these two books, and these have been very influential in our business. So the 4 disciplines of execution talk about how to move your business in the right direction. And we've implemented something. We're actually in a larger mastermind called Investor Fuel. And in there, we have to report our KPIs quarterly when we go to our quarterly meetings. But in the book, it talks about your lead and your lag measures. And a lot of people want to measure their lag measures, like how much money did I make on the deal? How many units did I buy? But that's not really the measures that drive your business. The lead measures for us are how many offers did we make? How many contracts did we write? How many appointments did we go on? Things like that. What are the lead measures that drive the lag results? And that's what this book talks about. So if you're having trouble in your business, or you want to build your business, I would recommend you read the 4 disciplines of execution and figuring out what your lead measures are. What should you be doing every day? So as a real estate agent, we know we have to drive leads to our business. So that means we have to make contacts with sellers. So the lead measure would be contacts, and the lag measure would be contracts. More contact, 10 contacts equal 1 contract. So figure out what you need, what's driving your results. So if you have good KPIs and you're hitting your lead measures, you're going to hit your lag measures. If you have good systems, then you're going to make profit. Another great book is Profit First. Does anybody know about that book? Has anybody read Profit First? So I would highly recommend Profit First. What Profit First talks about is that a lot of times you have a business and you have a big pool of money, and then everything that goes into that pool. So you're pulling your operations out of there and your daily livings, and your money goes in. You don't know where it's going or what it's going. In this book, he talks about pay yourself first. So what he says is to get several different accounts at a bank. And what you do is you have a profit account. Well, I'll tell you what we do. We have a profit account. We have an operations account. We have a rehab account. We have a reserves account. We have a security deposit account. And so every check that you get, or that we get, every wholesale check, every rehab, every wholesale, rents come in monthly, a portion of that is put into profit, and a portion of that is put into operations. And so the book tells you kind of what those numbers need to be, and that'll be different for everybody's business. But a portion of every check goes into each one of those accounts. Now, not security deposits, but you're going to have to replace roofs sometime down the road, right? You're going to have to pay taxes. You keep your rehab separate so that you can manage your rehab specifically out of that account, so that you know going in that this is the money I have available. Your operations money runs your business, so you know what's in there, what your budget is. You're not pulling out of there extra. You know what you have available to send. And as your profit account rises and rises over the more deals you see, you actually see that your business is growing as your profit account goes up. And it actually drives results when you see your profit account rise. So this is a great book. So if you're doing the right things, you have good systems and good people, and you're managing your money right, you're going to have a profitable business. And that's how we run our business.
Hey, Bill, I have a quick question. Sorry to interrupt. Do you, and I don't know if you're going to talk about it later, when you purchase your properties, do you put them in real estate trust? Do you buy them? When you refinance them, do you refinance under LLC? How do you set that up so that, you kind of do that protection so the tenants don't get to sue you?
We have 2 LLCs. So we do flips and wholesales. We do transactional business out of one LLC, and then we have another LLC that holds property. So there's a lot of different ideas of how to do that. Some people have one LLC for each property. I honestly feel that your first protection and your best protection is good insurance, and obviously good relationships with your tenants. So if you have good insurance, that's your number one defense. Your second defense is your LLC. but you have to operate your business correctly if you have an LLC. You have to write checks out of that LLC. You can't what they call veil piercing. So if you're commingling funds, if you're not running your business correctly, if it's a standalone business and it's its own entity, you're protected. But if you're doing things all across the board and things are mismanaged, a lawyer can get in there and see that this is not a real business. This is not a real entity because they're doing this kind of stuff. So that's what we do: 2 LLCs and good insurance.
Bill, quick question on that.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of buying under either you or your partner's name just to benefit from maybe like a lower interest rate and then quit claim deeding it over to an LLC, or do you always buy in the LLC's name?
We always buy in the LLC name. There is a lot of advantages to what you're saying, and it would make a lot of sense to do that. But that's not something we've ever done, and I don't think we'll do it. We have a structure to how we do it, and this works well for us. So I actually have my own portfolio, and he has his own portfolio. Altogether, I think we have 45 to 50 units all told together. I think we have 25 together, and then another 25 between him and I. And I have most of my stuff in an LLC, but I have like 1 or 2 in my name. And I'm actually going to use that to my advantage to get some real low interest rates on that one. I'm going to refinance it out because it's in my name.
Okay, so you have purchased properties in your personal name.
Yeah, it's some of the stuff I bought early on before I knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I can share, Bill. The last 2 properties I bought them under my name for that same reason. I was able to get a really low interest rate through the credit union. Yeah. And then right after I bought them, at closing, I did a quick claim deed and transferred it back into my LLC. So I was able to do that.
Yeah, that's not something that I know much about, but that sounds like a good strategy, because there's something called like a lot of people are scared of that, but they call it the due on sell clause. Like anytime ownership transfers, but you're doing that before you refinance it out, or?
Yeah, and well, actually, I let the banks know I'm going to do that, right? Yeah. I tell them, ahead of front that I intend to do that, and they don't have any problems with that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a way to take advantage of the low rates.
Right. And also talking about the corporate veil. So I do have some rentals, and the way I structure mine, I put them under a what's the word I'm looking for? So basically, I have a revocable living trust, and I put the properties in a real estate trust, and then the property then are owned by an LLC, and then that LLC goes up to my revocable living trust. So I have multiple layers on how I set that up, both from a privacy perspective, but also separation of assets, personal and business.
Yeah, that's some next level stuff there. That's good stuff. Yeah. So this is a wholesale deal that we actually picked up this week. This is a property on 1.1 acres in Clear Spring, Maryland. It needs a full rehab. We're selling it for $59,000, and the ARV is $170,000. If you go onto our MDWV cash buyers, you'll see the full write-up on this property. And so this is available for anybody to buy at $59,000 and flip it. And it makes sense all day long at those numbers. You can go ahead and scroll up there.
So quick question. Do you, on the website, will it show the estimated repairs? Because I don't see it here.
No, we usually don't. We leave those out because we don't want to pigeonhole the deal, because a lot of times there are people that will buy them and do all the rehab themselves. So, I mean, I'd be okay with putting materials on there, but materials are all over the board right now. And sometimes you can't even get certain materials.
Yes, we know. You got to order your stuff ahead of time because supplies are very low.
So we've kind of learned to just kind of leave that out of there and let each buyer kind of look at it and decide what they believe the rehab value. We have an idea of what the rehab value is on this, but we're not going to tell anybody because somebody else's may be lower and somebody else's might be higher. But we do have comps on that page we do show what the after repair value is. We show recent comps. So this is the ways that you can connect with me. If you want to, you can check out our website, MDWV Homebuyer. That's our that's kind of our main site. That's for investors, and it's a credibility website. That's where we have our meetup group. You'll see a link to the I-81 Real Estate Investor Meetup. That's actually tomorrow night. It meets in Martinsburg at the Holiday Inn, and everybody's welcome to come to that. That'd be a haul for you guys. But we do have people from Northern Virginia and Winchester come consistently. And then once again, my off-market deals are at MDWV Cash Buyers. And then my realtor page is billkennyrei.com. So that has all my listings on there and my realtor business. You can find me on Instagram at billkennyrei. And then my partner, Mike Webb, is a full-time fireman. And he's all about real estate investing. He might be somebody good to follow. He's the investing fireman on Instagram. And then we're both, his name is Mike Webb. My name is Bill Kenny. We're both on Facebook. And there's my phone number. So that's how you connect with me and him. But yeah, you can follow both of us.
And Bill, I have a question. How did you go about securing money for your deals? I know you said you started off doing wholesaling and then you were part of REIA. So was it just initially private lending, or did you reach out to any banks for some of these purchases?
Initially, it was all private lending. So it was all of our networking, we did a lot of networking, and in the beginning we were like, how are we going to buy these things? You know, like where's the money? And we just had to make a conscious effort to ask good questions. And if we started to get into a conversation with somebody that we thought maybe was savvy or had money, then I would bring that question up. I'd be like, hey, have you ever thought of lending private money on real estate deals? And some people say, no, I would never do that. Or I actually already do that, or I've thought about it. So you just have to get in conversation with people. There's a lot of wealthy people. If you could say, hey, I could show you how to make 10% returns on a secured, asset, a real estate asset. Would you be interested in something like that? Because, it's like short-term is 6 to 12 months. It's going to be secured by a deed of trust. It's under market value. I mean, there's no way you can go wrong with it. And a lot of the real estate investors already know that if they lend on it and it is a good deal, they can take it over. It's probably halfway rehabbed. It's even a better deal at that point if the investor doesn't go through with it. So it was mostly relationships. We actually did in our mastermind, they talked about building relationships with banks and how to find bank financing. And he said, put something together called your bank Bible. And you basically put a credibility packet together and you found all the banks that had assets. There's a way to do that. I can't remember how to do it. This was like 2 years ago. But we started asking questions of people that we respected, the closing attorneys that we knew, other investors, like what banks should we talk to? Because we wanted to get a line of credit. We never ended up getting a line of credit, but we did get some funding that was like, it was like low interest rehab loan money. It was a real specific product where they would look at the ARV and then they would lend us the money on the purchase and the rehab money, and they would give us draws on the rehab money. And if the deal made sense to them based on the appraised value and what we had it at, they would do it. I don't know if it's available to everybody, but this certain bank had that product available, and we did it. We used it on 3 or 4 different properties. You still had to do a lot of paperwork and stuff. So we don't like doing paperwork. So we got away from doing it, but it helped us bridge the gap on a couple deals until we got some bigger private lenders involved. I'd say if anybody's doing direct marketing and you're talking to investors and you find somebody that has multiple renters, ask them if they'd be interested in lending private money. My first private lender was a direct mail contact that I made with an investor who had like 100 properties in Martinsburg. And I actually met him for lunch and He was very savvy and he knew the business. And so when I had a deal show up and I needed private money, I called him. I said, "Hey, who do you know that would lend me private money on this deal?" And he said, "I would." I knew he would, but I didn't want to come out and say, "Would you?" I said, "Who do you know?" And he said, "I'll do it." So he walked the property with me and he said, "Yep, this makes sense." And so we did our first deal together, and then I paid him off. And then the next one we did, I said, "Hey, I need 60 on this." He's like, "Well, I can only give you 40. He goes, "But I'm sure you can get $20,000 from the owner." And so I went back to the owner. I was like, I waited till the deal was almost done. And I said, "Hey, I got $40,000, but I need you to hold a $20,000 note for 2 years, but I'll pay it off in a year, or for 5 years, I'll pay it off in a year." And he's like, "I don't really want to do it, but I want to get this done. So I'll go ahead and do it." So I had 2 payments to make while I was rehabbing it. And then I just refinanced out both parties. The deal made so much sense. So he did it. But you should always ask that question when you're talking to sellers. If you're doing off market deals, would you consider owner financing this property to me? Because you're almost no money in there. Sometimes they want some money down, but you can have them hold the note. And the very first deal I did was an owner finance deal. So that got me in the game when I didn't have a lot of money. So that's a question you should always ask.
So we're going to open it up for questions, and I can stop. If anybody wants to see one of these slides, let me know. Otherwise, I was going to stop the sharing, and I was going to go to his website so I was going to walk you to the this one, the cash buyer. Can you guys still see my screen?
I can see it.
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
So in order to get into our cash buyer's website, you had to give us your information there.
I can do that.
And then you get on our buyers list and our meetup list.
Show me the details. The deals, I mean. Uh-oh. I have too many sorry. Too many restrictions.
It wouldn't let you do it?
No, I have a lot of script blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the husband does IT, they just make you put all these layers of script blocking left and right. So okay, so this is
try to push past that.
okay. That's fine.
See our inventory.
I'm sorry, where?
Yeah, or go down. I haven't been on this one in a long time. See if you can just go straight to it from there. Right there.
Yeah, I'll come back and I'll fix that. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the latest one we have right there in the top left. All the other ones we've assigned to buyers. But you can click on that and you can kind of see how we market our properties.
It's very nice.
This is a system. It's called Investor Carrot, and Investor Carrot has a lot of. It's basically it was started for real estate investors, and so it's already built around good SEO.
Okay.
It's already built into that. And you just kind of go in there and change your colors and some of your locations, and then you just put all this stuff in there, and then it's
so the format is already there, and you just kind of fit it to what you want. Yeah, it just all this is already there.
Yeah, I put the pictures in and the write up there, and then boom, it's there, and then I have a link that I can send this out to. It's very clean.
Perfect. Yeah. And then you just put all the information here. So price, square footage.
Yeah, it pretty much, it does. Well, yeah, I put that in there and that does that. But then what this does is if you have this site, if you link all of your marketing back to this, it helps with your SEO, and then it'll drive traffic to your website. And then as traffic is driven there, you're going to catch more buyers for your buyers list. So we have hundreds and hundreds of buyers just by doing this. Now, I would say probably 90% of them are never going to buy anything, but
Okay, so let me try. I'll go back here. Oh, it took me back here. Let me go back here. Right. So that's the other ones that are assigned, and that's the sold. Okay, that's pretty cool. And this one was, so that's exclusively for your wholesaling, or do you also advertise there to the properties that you have for sale in for your real estate side?
so I have a very similar website for that. And you'll see that it kind of looks similar because I'm using the same company for it, but that's a different website. That would be for my realtor page. That would be the billkennyrei.com.
Okay.
And that would have all the properties that I sell from a listing agent. So that brings up a good point. So we do a lot of direct mail marketing. We also we do some internet stuff like this. So we have a website called We Pay Cash Close Quick, and that's all around driving. We're trying to drive sellers there that want to sell their property for cash. So I actually have 4 websites. So I have this one. This is our credibility website. This is, basically for investors. Then our cash buyers site is for cash buyers. Our We Pay Cash Close Quick is all around getting motivated sellers. And then I have my realtor page, which is billkennyrei.com. So probably the most visited page is the I-81 Real Estate Investors Meetup page. So
yeah.
So we have a video we did here, and then we just, we put our meetup topic here below it.
Okay. And you guys are still meeting in the hotel?
Yep. Yeah. We were down for like 2 or 3 months, but we're back to the live event.
And actually, Josh is the agent.
Yeah, he's
that
actually
connected
speaking
us.
this time. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice guy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you and Josh used to work together at FedEx, right? That's how you guys.
Yeah, we actually worked for a defense contractor. That's how we knew each other prior to real estate.
Cool.
Yep. So what we do here is at the end of the meetup, I just have a slide where I say, hey, if you like, this is a free event. If you found value, go to our Google page, leave us a 5-star review. And then a lot of people do that, and we get all these 5-star reviews. So that's helps our SEO too, helps us on Google. And then when they come to the meetup next time, I give them like a $5 gift card for doing that. Thank you for doing that. That helps us keep this free. And it keeps, the more people we can get in our network, the better this will be. So this is my realtor page. If you go up, you can see the featured property is the one that,
Yep.
Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the stuff I'm selling right now. And so this is what I was going to tell you. So, and I never got to that point. We do all the direct mail we do. I speak to a lot of sellers, and a lot of the sellers don't have the motivation or the equity. So that actually allows me the opportunity to list it, to get in a relationship with them and list it. So everything you see here either came from a relationship that I've had in the past, or a direct mail lead that we got that we went to make a cash offer. The cash offer didn't make sense, and I ended up listing it. So that's how I sell most of my
property. Do you share the commission? Because that's something we're getting ready to do as well, because I am the agent for our group. For our company. Do you then put a portion back for the marketing?
Yeah, we have like a marketing fee that I pay.
Okay, directly to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So do you, is it like, I don't know if you want to share that. Do you do the 25% or what do you do?
No, it's like $250 or something very small.
Okay. Okay.
I negotiated that down.
Yeah, I hear you, because it's still a lot of work. So
yeah. Yeah,
I'm still at the
that's what-
25%, but thank you for the argument. I'm going to negotiate down my partners.
yeah. Everybody thinks it's easy to sell listings. No, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of work involved. And like, if
Real
I
estate
keep
is
giving
not
a,
easy.
yeah, if I keep giving a little piece away every turn, there's nothing left for me, because you still got to pay your broker too.
Yes, and your annual dues and the
Yeah.
access to the MLS and
Oh,
the card and this and that. Yep,
yeah,
yep. It's an expensive business.
it sure is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anybody has any questions, or do you guys want me to open any other pages?
Question in the meantime.
So I'm sorry. So this is with Carrot. This one also is with Carrot.
Yeah,
Yep.
all of my pages. The last one that you might want to take a look at is We Pay Cash, Close Quick.
Okay, let me do.
That's our motivated.
Cash.
We Pay Cash, Close Quick.com.
Let's see if I can crash my computer. As you can see, I have 10,000 windows open.
Yeah.
And nice. After that, can you go back to his website? Because I saw something in the multifamily. I wanted to ask him a question about it.
Yep. And so that's the other one. And is Carrot also?
This is Carrot. Yeah. So we had some professional videos done here. And so we're doing a bunch of Facebook stuff, retargeting ads and stuff. So this is all around speaking to a motivated seller.
Yeah.
And we actually pay a company to do some SEO for us. So you can see down here, each one of the cities we operate in has their own page. And my next initiative is to actually build out each one of those pages with specific things to those towns. So if you click on the Hagerstown one, this is like something I'm currently working on. I'm trying to find somebody to do this for me. But you'll see if you scroll down, it's got specific things about Hagerstown. And the reason I do that is that if people are looking for the specific things about Hagerstown, this may help my SEO ranking and drive people to our website. So they'll say, oh, okay, it's got to get better than that. We're going to put pictures on it. But that top little part talks a little bit about Hagerstown. So it's specific to Hagerstown. So each one of those this little chunk right there. So these are the big things, the Battle of Antietam, Battle of Gettysburg, the University of Maryland, Hagerstown City Park, Jonathan Hager's home, where it got its name, all that kind of stuff. It talks about the business here, the area, all the major employers. So it's specific to Hagerstown, which will help bring people to this page eventually, hopefully. That's the plan.
Yeah. So Ibrahim, you had a question, and Lisa also had a question. Sorry. Ibrahim, was it this page or was it his real estate
Right
page?
here. Like for instance, I see you have that second house.
This one?
Yeah.
It's 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom. How do you explain that split? Because it's a multi-unit, right?
So this is a duplex. It's an up and down duplex. It's in excellent condition. It's in a great neighborhood. It's on the north end of Hagerstown. I'm actually getting additional pictures of this Friday. I just listed this Monday. What this play is here is a owner occupant buyer. So somebody that wants to live in one unit, rent is very low.
Because you broke up a little bit. Can you say that again?
Yeah. This property makes sense for an owner occupant buyer. Were you able to hear that?
Yes.
Okay. So the top unit is vacant right now. So someone that's looking to get into real estate investing and wants to buy a duplex, live in one unit and rent out the other, this property is tailor-made because it's already in a great neighborhood. There's no maintenance to do. Everything's split out and one unit is vacant. So we could have somebody buy this property and the rent is a little low on the bottom. That's one of the problems with this. The tenant on the bottom has been there for 30 years and they're only paying $600 when that unit could actually get $1,000. So that's something that a new owner is going to have to address. But right now I'm looking for a specific buyer, and that would be an owner occupant buyer, because a straight investor would just it's turnkey. Like all they got to do is put a renter in there, but the cash flows aren't high enough to make it generate what the market demands, but it makes total sense for an owner occupant buyer. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. There's another duplex that I have that I just listed a couple weeks ago. This one right here. Now this one is it's very similar to that. It has the top unit and the bottom unit, and it's been rehabbed and it's already cash flowing. It also has 2 garages in the back. It's bringing in $2,100. So it's really turnkey. The only drawback on this is that the owner pays heat. So that's an expense that other duplex doesn't have, but it is bringing in $2,100, and you can see that price is as what we would call like a 1% price, which is what things are selling for in Hagerstown.
Right. It looks nice. I see
Great.
why people compare Hagerstown to Baltimore, because these are like the old brick with
Yep.
architecture.
Yeah.
Baltimore has a lot of great architecture. It's just that this, they've just
Yeah.
let it run down, which is unfortunate. But it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, both of those towns are about the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one was probably built. I should know when this one was built. The other one was built in the 60s. This one was built probably 50s.
Yep, 1910.
Oh, 19. Okay, so this is much older. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the other one we were looking at was built in the 60s.
Yeah. Oh, this is a nice website. I mean, I'm gonna have to look at it for my own listings, because I think it's definitely straight to the point. You have everything there. It's easy to go to. And
yeah, we have some, one of the things that we send out to a lot of the sellers that we're working with immediately is our testimonial page on the So I have a pretty good testimonial page on here that I send out. I think if you go back up to the top, I've been pretty diligent about getting their client reviews. I have a lot of client reviews if you scroll down. And so this is just a credibility thing. You can see each one of them right there. I also have a credibility packet that I hand out. And so this is really good for when people don't know you, letting them read through this and having it out there on the internet working for you. And we have the very same thing with our investing business. So if you go to that We Pay Cash Close Quick, we have a testimonial page. We actually have video testimonies that are really good. We started doing that a while ago. Yeah, scroll up to the top there. Testimonials right there.
It's right there.
Yeah. And we have video testimonials here that you could actually play and listen to. And these things are like a gold mine here.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
We're trying to get our sellers to do that. So that's Mickey's been trying to coerce them. So I think we have 2 that we should be able to, the 2 new ones should be able to give us nice video testimony.
Yeah, I think we have like 3 or 4 video testimonials. We need to start doing that again, but those things are great. Like people go and look at that and see how happy the people are at the closing table. That adds a lot of credibility to your business.
Perfect. Hey, Lisa, did you have a question earlier?
I did. So this just goes back to the seller financing. Bill, what was the terms that you negotiated, or what would you recommend, or is kind of like industry standard terms to negotiate with the seller in terms of interest rate? And did you have the title company that, well, I guess you didn't have a title company involved. Well, you had to. Did you have the title company prepare the paperwork for that note?
Yeah, you have to have, now I can't remember the term here. LMO, is that what I'm thinking here? So anyway, you have to have somebody that's licensed to do this and has to verify that the person has the credit and the ability to take on this loan. So you have to do it legally. And so what we did was we talked to our title company and he knew how to do that. So we let him handle all of that. And he actually told us what you don't want to get caught for predatory lending and all that kind of stuff. So we followed his lead on that and did everything he said. We couldn't do over, like we maybe we wanted to do like a higher interest rate. It was like, you can't do anything higher than 9%. So we did 8, or it might be actually, I'm sorry, it might be 7.999. I think you can't go over 8 or something like that. But we just let him handle all that for us. You know, he told us what would be within the regulations and what would make sense. And we let him handle that for us. So he qualified them, and then he redid the closing and he wrote all the, you know, the deed of trust and the promissory note and all that good stuff for us.
Okay. And what was the main, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think it was, I put 8.99, but now that I think about it, this was about a year ago. 7.999 was the interest rate. They gave us $10,000 down. They pay us like, I think it's like $1,200 a month, and that's interest, interest and the principal.
And what was the reason for doing it that way versus just selling it so you could get the money to move on to another property?
We hate paying taxes. And so if we just had a big old flip that we had a big profit on, we'd have to pay taxes on that. So this way we can possibly defer taxes on this down the road.
Okay.
And we actually have the ability to actually make more on it, because we're getting that interest piece that we wouldn't have if we would have flipped it.
Got it. And if you just did it as a rental, you wouldn't have the tax because you didn't sell it, but you probably wouldn't get that. I mean, I guess the interest was more beneficial financially.
That's right. So a renter probably wouldn't take as good a care of it as an owner. And so there's that component to it. You have an owner that they feel that it's their home. It actually is, right? It's their home.
Right.
We hold the note on it. So there's a lot of things that are good about it. I would say that if we could do owner finances over rentals, we would do that all day long. Now, the reason you can't do that is because in order to owner finance it, you have to own it free and clear. And so on these rentals, that you can't buy them low enough, and you have rehab money. And so if you can get them low enough and you can pay those things off, then you can owner finance them. Because you have to be free and clear to owner finance.
Okay. So we asked because we're closing on a property in like 2.5 weeks, and we're doing it cash.
Mm-hmm.
And so and we're going to put some work into it, and we would either, you know, refinance, take the money out, but just hearing you talk about seller finance, and it just made we never considered that option.
Yeah.
So
if you can be into it at an amount that you can pay it off at closing, and then take money from, take a down payment from them and then finance it to them, I would do that all day long. It just depends on how much money out of pocket you're going to be at the closing table.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else has any questions? I know it's usually we kind of stop around 8. I will, if anybody else has a few more questions, we can kind of wrap them up quickly. I'm sorry, we had a little bit of technical difficulty.
Yeah, we had a rough start.
We pushed through. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a question a little bit about the rehab part.
Mm-hmm.
So my understanding is that your partner takes care of that, but you must have like systems on how you work that part as well, right?
Yeah, so I really can't speak to that very well because I'm so busy in acquisitions and sales that I just let him handle that. We're actually in the middle of a rehab right now, and he handles all the contractors. He actually has one of our assistants that handles a lot of that. We deal with the materials, and we just pay the contractors labor. But there's a lot to that, there's a lot to order and manage and stuff like that. So he does have a lot of systems. I can't speak to what systems he uses. He really doesn't, I don't worry too much about it because he doesn't know everything about what I do because it's a lot. And I don't know everything about what he does just because it would just be too much to figure out everything and be involved in his business. He's dealing with a lot of problems that he never brings to me that I never know about. And it just like saves mind space for me. Same way with him. We're trying to deal with, like, we had a contract on a property that we put yesterday. We were just ready to sign it up. And they were like, well, we want to talk to our attorney. And they were like, we also need to figure out what we're going to do with the shared well and septic. And I was like, oh my gosh, like our guy didn't even know it was a shared well and septic. So now that's a big problem for us because we were ready to buy that thing for I think we had it for like $25,000, but it's their house and this house share a well and a septic. And now that changes the game totally. So now we have to figure out how we're going to work through this. We actually did a deal, a shared well and septic a long time ago, a wholesale deal. But you could see how that can cause problems for somebody if you're flipping a property, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's a lot of little things you're dealing with all day long, and he doesn't know anything about that because that's not.
So we should have him on one of the meetings.
Yes. Yeah,
yes, please.
you guys should invite him on. He would speak to the rental management and the rehab very well, and you would learn a lot from him. He's
perfect.
You can please forward his information and let him know that I would be contacting him. We would love to have him.
You have his contact, you have his Instagram on there, the Investing Fireman, but you can find him on Facebook he's Mike Webb, and you can see he's my business partner.
Yep. So I'll definitely reach out to him to try to get him over. We love to get everybody's perspective because it's such the real estate is such a nice business. Everybody has a different model. I mean, the base is always the same, and everything is tailored to what works for your company and your business. So we would definitely, like to pick his brain on what's working for you guys.
There's so many ways to make it work in this business. There's so many strategies and different ways to do it that, you could continue having this meetup or this Zoom call for the next 5 years and still keep learning. Yep.
No, we always learn. We used before. Remember, I don't know if you remember when we met you last year, but our goal was before COVID, every week we would meet somebody new. So we would make an appointment with somebody once a week. And that's how we did a lot of networking. And COVID hit. So, now we might start to do it a little bit. We are meeting people. We're not doing the frequency of once a week anymore. But, networking is key in this business. And somebody's always going to teach you something.
Networking is huge.
Yep.
That's how I met my business partner. That's how we through networking, that's how we learned all these different strategies. So it's invaluable.
Does anybody else have any questions, or I'm going to release everybody? It is after 8. Any other questions? Going once, going twice.
Thanks a lot.
So
thank you for coming.
I have the presentation, so we'll probably upload the presentation so you guys can have it. And Bill has been fantastic from the time I met him. He's very busy, but thank you again for every time I reach out to you, you've always been available. So I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Nice to meet your guys on here, your guys and gals, and talk a little bit, and maybe we'll have you speak at our meetup someday.
Sure. And, feel free if you have anything else you want to come back and talk to us about, or if you want to come with your partner, please let us know. And then we always welcome people back. We really enjoy these talks and these meetings.
Well, nice meeting all you guys, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. See ya.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Aisha.